How we doing, everybody? This is Hoop Talk presented by Reveal TV. It's your guy, Sunny D. I'm kicking it with my guy, Shoes. We're talking about the best states in high school basketball, not the state of high school basketball, the best states in high school basketball. We got Ashton Smith coming through here later. He's from Texas. You know, he's going to be going with Texas all day long. It seems like Texas is kind of on the come up here. We do have some stats and a bunch of stuff to get to, and Shoes is even going to hit us with his top 10 states at the moment. But right now, I just kind of want to ask you some things off the bat. What do you think the difference in high school basketball is right now between like actual high school players and like prep ball players?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of change right now, especially this year of COVID. We'll see if this does go long term when things get back to normal. I think it personally will because we're seeing a lot of stuff come in. We heard rumors now about this overtime league, which personally I don't think it's going to be successful at all. But I do think there's going to be a bigger player, a shoe brand team, or someone's going to come into the fold and truly create a massive league where guys are being paid eventually. But that's down the road. But right now we see this prep ball, and ultimately guys want to play the best players. They love playing against the guys that push them, the guys that they can practice with, and so on and so forth. That's what I think we're going to see a lot more of. And there's still guys, like, don't get me wrong, you can still stay at your local high school, become successful. You can do it that way. But we're seeing the translation where guys that happen to play at a prep level play at a elite level. And there's also exceptions that you play in Georgia, you play in California in the open division, you play in areas of Florida, New Jersey, you can get the same high level there. But in majority of states, if you're just playing against decent kids, the jump from high school to college is a lot harder for you as opposed to the jump from just being at a prep level for a year or two. That really gets you more ready for college. And a lot of guys are liking that.
Yeah, I mean, even Trey on last week with us, we always kind of referenced Ty. I mean, it seems like a lot of these players can move up dramatically too from being in the deep hundreds and stuff like that. And when you can go to prep school and kind of link with some of these other players and, like you said, play against some of the best talent circulating in the sport, I mean, you're going to get noticed, and maybe you wouldn't have gotten noticed just playing at your local school. So it is crazy to kind of see. I mean, even here in Minnesota, I mean, I feel like I can kind of sense high school basketball kind of just getting bigger as a sport. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
different than collegiate basketball and NBA basketball. I mean, obviously basketball is the same sport, but high school basketball is getting big. Obviously with Jalen kind of coming through here and Chet as well, but that's just kind of how it all starts. And with the pandemic, people going to different states to hoop and, like I said, link. I mean, it's insane right now. The grind session. I mean, all this stuff is just crazy.
And I think, like you said, that's exactly what's going on. We see a lot more situations, and to kind of go back a little bit, the reason prep schools really start is because of certain states and the government rules, or not even that, just the kind of the sports governing rules. And in Arizona, for example, the AIA, they're not really known as doing the best at their job. They have messed up with a lot of stuff, a lot of rules that should not be in place. They don't handle situations to the best of their ability. And that's really what caused the originally Hillcrest was the first one to create a prep school out here. They really want to build that because a lot of guys were saying, hey, we want to go play and team up. And the first time they put this rule in is where you have to sit out an entire year if you transfer half a season to an entire year. And they decided to put a rule in for that. And that's after Marvin Bagley made his transfer from a couple different situations there. And ultimately, he was the first one that said, I don't want to sit out a lot of time. I just want to play basketball. Where can I go? And Hillcrest opened up that spot where they put DeAndre and him on the same team for a little bit. That's kind of what started that in Arizona. Same things happening out there in New Jersey. Same thing that started out there in Florida. California, we're starting to see prolific prep come up. Now, Sierra Canyon, they're still part of the CIA, but they've also kind of grown a little bigger. They can go transfer and go travel across the country. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this stuff happening now.
I mean, prior to COVID-19, let's kind of just forget about that since we do kind of talk about it a lot. Everybody does. But
Mhm.
before all that, with all the transferring and stuff going on, where would you say most of the transferring to like prep schools were coming from? Was it coming from the east? Was it coming from the west, the Midwest? Where were people going to say, hey, I have to get out of here and I have to go to Hillcrest? Like, where was that coming from?
It ultimately came down to the question of if you're a top player, where are the top players at? And I think that for a lot of guys that it wasn't necessarily one area. You might see in some situations that it happened to be higher populated in that same area, but also could have meant that that area happens to have a lot more talent. Therefore, there's a lot more bigger pool to go out somewhere. And we do see in areas like we see in Wisconsin, we see someone like Mike Foster come out to Hillcrest. We see a lot of situations where guys are just saying, this might not be the most talented place for me right now to play. It's not the best talent. Where can I go? I want to transfer. I want to go somewhere else to go play in a much bigger city, much bigger area. And that's kind of where we see this from. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily Wisconsin. It's not just necessarily Michigan or something just like that, a random certain state. It really depends where the top player is at, and that's where they're going to be coming from.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, it's crazy to think that you'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna pick up everything as a 16-year-old kid and just move to like Arizona from Chicago like Trey did. But I mean, if you want to make it to that next level, sometimes that's the best option. We do have some stats and stuff here. We'll get to those in a little later. But what do you think currently is the top state as far as like prep school wise?
Well, we know the kingpin of it all right now is really where it first started. There's a few programs that started up first. Oak Hill, they're incredible. They've been around for a long time. Guys like Carmelo Anthony, Kevin Durant, Brandon Jennings, Cam Thomas is now here. Just the list goes on that way. They're one of the four kind of founding fathers of this whole prep world. And we see also IMG's been huge. Montvert's been huge. So that's where I want to lead in terms of that. The biggest place for prep basketball is Florida. They've had debatably the two best teams in the country. Montverde is clear number one. IMG's top five every year. Constantly up in Geico. Those are really your two biggest places. They're really the one that made it even larger. And then obviously we see Arizona's developing. They have a special team at AZ Compass. Hillcrest is always going to be in the mix. Dream City, Powerhouse Prep, Bella Vista, Edgy Prize. A lot of good schools out here, but I have to say the biggest one for prep ball where to go is clearly Florida.
All right, so we got Florida for prep schools. What about just schools in general? We'll mix up the high school, mix up the preps. We'll just talk about states in general. Who are the best?
Yeah, so before I get into my top 10, there are a lot of things I want to kind of put into this. First of all, when I make it, I kind of made a mixture. We have to have the star talent up there. I like seeing obviously the superstars, but also I like seeing a lot of depth. There are some states and that might not have the depth to the state, where they might not have too many guys that are just Division 1 level players. And also kind of put in the factor of just saying, I'm not really too much into per capita, not anything about that, but we're talking about right now who's playing. And there are 5 states I kind of have on the board of that. We're super close to making that top group, but for some reason they didn't put them in there. One, New Jersey. I love New Jersey. They could easily be in that top 10. I think that them and North Carolina will both have the largest jump next year because their underclassmen are special. But right now, I feel like the 2021 class might not be as good as some of these top 10 right now. Minnesota doesn't have the depth. We see Kendall Brown's from there. Chet Holmgren is special. They don't got much of the depth, though. Another one I love is Maryland. Same kind of story with them, but they don't necessarily have the superstars in that class. I do love what Maryland's got out there. Washington, they don't have the depth, but you see Nolan Hickman, Paul Banchero, you see Caden Perry. That class is special out there in Washington. Jackson Grant, a lot of guys. Also, South Carolina, they also don't have the depth out there, but they do have Bryce McGowens. They have a lot of talent out there. But those are the 5 states that I think are right next to them. And I also put, like I said, North Carolina there in terms of who's going to make the biggest jump next year with another age of development. But that kind of leaves me for the guys that before I hop into my top 10.
Well, I mean, listen, you might as well hop into that thing right now. So let's just start. Let's start with 10 and climb up. So who do we got for number 10?
I got Wisconsin, and I know some people might say they might not have as much depth as other states right now.
Oh, that's crazy.
And they currently do have 70 players only that are Division 1 level kind of guys. It's better than some of the states I left off. But here's the big thing right now: they might have the best starting lineup in the country. They have two guys, in my opinion, that are top 5 guys: Mike Foster and Patrick Ball in the same state. Tyrese Hunter, I love him. I personally think of him as a top 30, top 35 kind of guy. Another guy's been blown up right now, Brandon Posensky. He's been someone that came out of nowhere, is ranked pretty much unranked on every site. Got KU, got a couple of the big offers, and Kentucky, he's now blown up. He's dropping almost 40 a game right now out there. Kobe Bryant's a guy, Kobe Johnson's the guy that I'm huge on. Jalen Johnson's little brother. He's going to USC. I'm very high on him. They also have a young guy that could most likely go in at number 1 for 2024. Tayshaun Bridges. He's in that factor too. So they really have a lot of star talent. And they do have a decent amount of depth. So that's why I'm at number 10, though.
All right, what do we got for number 9?
Number 9, I got Illinois, and that's a state that is historically great. A lot of talent out there. They might not have the best stars overall. They might not have always the top of the top guys, but they currently sit at 128, which is, I think, the number 6 currently out of total guys that are going Division 1. You got Ahmad Bonham super high on. Amar Bailey is a superstar. You have a lot of guys like Bryce Hopkins, Max Christie, AJ Casey. There's a lot of talent out there, and we just know also that they have the history. They're going to pan out. I'm really high on AJ Casey and others, but that's what I got number 9.
And hopefully some of those players stay in Chicago. I mean, if they're at number 9, it sounds like they're kind of, I mean, when you think of Chicago, you got to think of basketball. So hopefully they can start getting some bigger names. I mean, the Mike Fosters of the world and the Patrick Baldwins, but number 8.
Number 8, I have Tennessee. And this one might shock some people because they're not necessarily regarded right off the thought of a lot of people as a top state. But once again, they have depth to a degree. They have 57, nearly 60 players right now. But they have a big 3 out there that I'm super high on. All guys are top 10 ranked players. Brandon Huntley Hatfield, You got Kennedy Chandler and you have Brandon Murray, and that's a huge big, or Brandon Miller. That's a huge big three right there to have three guys that are all regarded as some of the best players in the country. That's huge. But then you look at even more. Debo is a huge player. He's playing out there in Florida right now. He's from out there. BJ Edwards is huge. Alden Applewhite, Mason Miller, Isaiah West is the young guy out there too that I'm super high on. He's now starting to get up in the top 20s, top 30 group. He's going to be the future of that state. But right now, they do have a lot of talent there in Tennessee.
Tennessee and Wisconsin coming out of the woodworks.
And I have to add in for Tennessee too. They also have John Lawson. He's a huge guy as well. We see his brother Dedrick Lawson, KJ Lawson, big time guys out there. But he's a legit threat as well.
And Kennedy's going to Tennessee, isn't he?
Yep, staying home.
So do a lot of those kids from Tennessee, do they tend to kind of stay at home? Do you know that at all? Or
I think this might be the most talented group in Tennessee they've had in quite some time. And you can also look at a guy like Sky Clark living out there right now, but he's truly from California. But overall, I'm not quite sure. There are some potential options that could be happening soon in that 2022 class. There are teammates out there, BJ Edwards, and also, as I mentioned, Brian Huntley Hatfield out there as well. They've played together in AAU for a long time, and there might be a good chance that they might end up at Tennessee together in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if Kennedy's going there and gets drafted, I'm sure he's going to be a one and done. So if you can put him on the map and have people want to go to their home school, I mean, that'd be awesome. But number 7.
Number 7, these ones from here on out, I think, are super special too. And Florida is right there at number 7 for me. And they are known for a lot of talent. They do have one of the more players in the country. They currently have over 150 ranked players that's going to be going to Division One. But at the forefront of it, the reason they might not be a little bit higher, even though they have the third most players that are Division One, they don't have as many superstars in the state. Someone Eric Daly, I think, is ranked in the 30s. I think he's personally top 10 in the class of 2022. Greg Glenn's huge. Ernest Ross, I love his game. You got a lot of different guys in that group right there. Josh Minot's a huge guy going to Memphis. Wesley Cardette, Matt and Ryan Belouie, they're both currently sophomores 2023. They are both, Matt Belouie's ranked number 3 right now. Ryan's top 20. Those twins are something special out there. You also have the Thompson twins in 2022 that are special. AJ Neal. You got a lot of different guys out there. Devin Carter. They're special too, but as I said, they don't necessarily have too many superstars that we're going to see now in the next 6 groups.
When people transfer in like a Ben Simmons who went to Montverde, do they consider him a Florida product, or is this like homegrown, like born and raised in Florida talent?
Yeah, all this list will be homegrown guys, and that's something that I know a lot of players take pride in wherever they're from. And something like Ben Simmons, obviously, it's a piece of his life. It helped him out a lot, but we know he's always going to represent Australia. That's where he's going to play in for the Olympics. That's who he wants to represent. And that's pretty much for any guy. They're going to represent where they come from.
Number 6.
Number 6, Pennsylvania. They're a loaded state. They're highly regarded. Nearing 100 players currently with Division I offers that soon jump out the starting high school season soon. A lot more 2023, 2024 guys. I think they're going to be pushing way above 100 in about a couple more months now once the season gets going. But some of the headline names out there, Jarvis Walker's from out there. Jalen Worley is a huge player. Derek Lively, I think, is a top 20 to 5-star most definitely. You got a lot of different guys. Chance Wester is a huge player. Sierra Canyon right now is where he's playing at. Jameel Brown, Rasul Diggins, he's going to be heading out to UConn next year. Justice Williams, Stevie Will Mitchell. You have a lot of different guys out there that really are spectacular. We know they have a rich history out there as well. There's going to be a couple of East Coast teams coming up, but Pennsylvania's who got number 6.
Number 5.
I got Michigan. People might say, how did a team make it number 5 when they have 70 players? And I know the whole depth thing is an issue. They may not have as many guys as other states, but they have 2 guys that I view as top 5 players in the country, regardless of class, Imani Bates and Jaden Hardy. There's no other state they can say they got that much talent in one state up front. And it's not just that, though. You also look at the depth there. Kobe Buffkin's a huge player out there going out to Michigan. Jaden Atkins, I'm very high on Michigan State commit. And Pierre Brooks, Michigan State commit. You got Tayshawn. You got a lot of different guys like Curtis Williams, a 2023 guy. He's going to break out this year. Fletcher Lawyer, Julian Roper. You got Ty Rogers, I think, is a huge player in 2022. I think he's going to be top 30 when it's all said and done. So Michigan is special, but when you look at just having Jaden Hardy and Imani Bates in the same state, I could not put him at number 5.
Is Dylan Hunter from Michigan?
No, he's from Georgia.
He transferred. He just transferred to that school.
Yep.
Number 4.
New York, and this might have the richest history of any state out there. And I love New York, but they overall, when we talk about this top 3 group, I'm going to say after New York are loaded to the top. But New York is special. When you look at Dior Johnson, AJ Griffin's from out there, Jaden Bradley's from there, Roddy Gale, J.J. Starling, Kyle Cuff. Then this list goes on. There's countless players, including nearing 150 players now that are Division I players in New York. And New York is just history. We know that they have that dog mentality. We know that they're a special brand of basketball. That's why they're at number 4.
Number 3.
Number 3 is something that these top 3, if anyone wants to debate them, I'm open to that. These 3 are loaded to the brink, but at number 3, I have California, and part of the reason is that we haven't seen a lot of these guys now in nearly an entire year. So these guys could easily be number 1 if they had a season. But out of number 3 right now, and there's a lot of talent out there, and this list could go on forever as well. But Payne Watson's from out there, Dylan Andrews, Kajani Wright, Mikey Williams is from there, Sky Clark's from there. You got Isa Silva, Frankie Collins, Will McClendon, and a lot of guys might look at them as Nevada guys, but they're from California. That's where they want to go from. And this list goes on and on. Jalen Thompson, and there are now pushing over 175 players that go in Division I from that state. California, I know it's probably the biggest state, one of the highest populations, but overall, just looking at who you can put together for a team, you can't argue that California is one of the best out there.
Would you say most people would have California number 1, or?
I think it depends where you're at. Clearly, California is great, but I think this top 3, I'm going to say, all can be easily debated, and really depends which way you want to look at it. But all 3 of these could easily be swapped, and right now I have California at 3, mostly because I just haven't seen what the jump is for a lot of these guys. 2024, no one knows about. 2023 really only had a freshman year, so it's kind of hard, but you know the talent's going to be there.
I know. I mean, none of us are in Cali like that, but I know they kind of open up their society. I mean, do we know anything about hoops right now?
I was talking to a couple of guys recently, Payne Watson included, and a few other guys, but they were all saying that they don't believe there's going to be a season this year ultimately. They're opening up a little bit, but that's not opening up for basketball season. There could be some form of traveling. There could be something come out, but truly having a season from start to finish with playoffs is slim to none.
Yeah. So when can, well, Peyton, when can he get off, graduate and go to UCLA the day he graduates? Or, I mean, how does that work?
There could have been an option he could have explored for going up there early. We saw Mike Weber also already went out there. He reclassed up to 2020 to join them. He could have potentially looked into the opportunity. He was holding out a little bit, waiting for if a season was going to come up or not. Ultimately, it's not probably going to happen, but also just kind of spend time with family, obviously get the grades done. And he's going to head out there just like typical June-ish time, hopefully, if it all goes as planned. And that's when he's going to be out there at UCLA.
Oh, you're number 2.
Number 2, I got Georgia right now. And I love Georgia. They are special, and they have a young group that will be top 1, probably possibly even number 1 come next year. But you look at a guy like Jabari Smith, number 5 player in the country, Matt Cleveland, who in my opinion is a bona fide 5-star, top 15, top 20 easily. I love him. In my opinion, the number 1 point guard and a top 3 player in the class of 2022, Scooter Henderson's out there. You have Kawasi Reeves, Ryan Mutombo, Dylan Hunter from there, Bruce Thornton, and this list goes on to where you're pushing 134 players going Division I, and that is including with obviously not being as large as New York, not being as large as California, Texas, all the other states that are in the mix here. That really opens it up where Georgia truly is spectacular. Their AAU system, their high school system, second to none, and that's really what's allowed them to really evolve to this level. But I do have Georgia number 2.
Why does Georgia have are they in the grind session? Do they have a prep school there, or is there like why would Dylan Hunter leave Georgia to go to Michigan? I mean, why don't they have schools like that to attract people, or do they?
Knowing a lot of guys out there, their say is why leave? When I mentioned them earlier, they're one of the states that I'd say, or the areas I should say, that if you're in that same kind of conference where you're going against Jabari Smith one night, Matt Cleveland the next night, Scooter Henderson the next, Bruce Thornton, all these guys all in the same conference, why leave that? You're not going to get much better. Yeah, that might be a little bit, but you're staying home and you're going against a superstar every night. You're going to go one-on-one against. Most likely you're playing with a superstar on your team as well, and that area just loaded. So for Dylan Hunter to do what he did, obviously it's his decision, and he made a fine decision. I mean, you have Amani Bates to play with. You get to learn from that. You can't complain with a Florida guy, but knowing a lot of Georgia guys, it's close to impossible to pick any of them out and get any of them to come out of state to another team. Clearly, Dylan made the exception. That's totally fine up to him. It's worked out great. But typically, you're not going to see too many of those guys leave just because of how strong it is out there.
And number 1,
I got to have Texas. They're about ready to push. They're at 199 right now, Division I players in the state of Texas. They're going to be pushing 200 any day now. Obviously, guys are getting offers all the time. And this list could go on forever. You're talking about having 12 5-stars currently between the different recruiting sites on this team. To name a few of them, Keontae George. You have Manny Obaseki, Jalen Tyson, Kason Wallace, Damian Collins, Harrison Ingram, Bryce Griggs, Arterio Morris, Damian Collins. I mean, this whole list goes on and on and on about just a load of talent out there. And they have pretty solid history. They're well known, but this group from top to bottom is special. You look at 2021, they're elite. 2022's maybe the best. I think probably the best entire country in terms of 2022 class. 2023 is looking special with Ron Holland, Cam Barnes. Jacoby Walters, a lot of different guys in that mix right there. So I got Texas number one. They have the depth, they have the superstars, they have it all.
All right, we're here with my guy Ashton Smith from Legacy Sports and Science. How we doing, Ashton?
Good.
How's the season going for you so far?
We're doing good. Well, I'm doing good, and the team is doing good. So,
Have you guys had
that's
any
good.
challenges around obviously the pandemic and everything? Have you had any games canceled, or are you just steady hooping?
Yeah, we've had some games canceled here and there, like some people catching it at our school, like around the school, but not really on the team. No, we haven't.
You just had to be safe about it.
Really, yeah, you just got to be like protocols and stuff. That's all. It
So
really sucks, though.
does that mess with your mental at all?
Yeah, kind of, because I don't really get to do like what I don't really get to go through a regular season like I did the last 3 years of high school.
You could be like hooping like 2 days in a row, and then bam, you got to take like 2 days off, like randomly type stuff, or
yeah, or like wear masks like every single day.
you gotta wear masks when you guys are hooping.
Nah. But just wearing a mask every day, like to practice and stuff, is like, nah.
It's
really
getting old. It's getting old.
Yeah, it's getting old.
Well, even with everything that is going on, you're getting games in, so at least you are hooping. What goals do you have for this season?
Just to win our state and win nationals.
How are you guys gonna do that?
By playing good basketball, good quality basketball. Everybody play their game on the team, and we'll win a lot of games.
Who has been your toughest opponent so far this season?
I don't think I really had any tough opponents. Like the toughest one I've really had was probably the bigs from Sunrise, and probably the big from Yipsy. But I don't really know their names, but yeah.
You just got to play against top game. That's always awesome.
Yeah.
And when you get in these environments, like you mentioned, obviously you're going against a guy in Yipsy, you got guys like Sean Phillips out there. We know also have a guy like Amani Bates on that team. There's a lot of these top teams though, but when you're side by side, you're matching up against other guys that quote unquote might be ranked higher than you, higher regard than you. What's your mentality heading into this kind of type of games?
Just to go at them, just to take that ranking personal. I mean, I don't really look at rankings and be like, oh, I should be ranked higher than other people. Like, I don't really pay attention to them. But if they say he's ranked higher than me, then like he has to show me why he's ranked higher.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
And there is a big thing for you though. We know ultimately you're waiting to get on campus soon. You're repping it right now. Take us a decision though. Why is Texas A&M the school you want to go to?
Cause it's just a good fit for me. Like the coaches, like they showed all the love, even though I couldn't go on campus. Like they made me feel like I was there on campus, and showing me through everything. Coach Buzz is a good coach. Like he's gonna get everything out of you, and I want to be a part of that.
And I love Coach Buzz. We know he's got a lot of energy with him. He's a fun coach. He's also a giving back coach, and a lot of guys do say he's almost like that father figure to a degree. How's it been like having that kind of figure in your life so far? It hasn't been personal yet, but just over the phone, how's that bond with him?
He's gonna take care of you, but also, I mean, it's no games when you go up there. It's like it's intense, and I have to get ready for that mentally and physically.
And there are two guys you're going out there with. We know Wade Taylor is huge. Manny Obaseki, one of the highest commits in program history. All these guys are Texas recruits too. Take us through your bond with those guys and how's that grown? How close are you guys? Just take us through those two.
I mean, Wade, I played with him this summer in a camp, and then I played with Manny. Well, I haven't played with Manny before, but I've seen him play, and those two are just like that's real big to the program too.
When you
and
guys
they're
go out
both.
there as freshmen, we know it's not always going to be easier kind of adjusting to college basketball, but what are your expectations? What do you think you can get done in your freshman season?
I think I can get a lot done. I mean, if I just go out there and act like I've been there before, play like I've been there before, I mean, I can get a lot done.
Was it always a goal for you to stay close to home?
Not really. I mean, that really came up to where in my recruitment process, I didn't really want to go far from home, but I really want to like go away from home, but not really that far to where I can't get to my mom. But Texas A&M is like a good distance from my house,
Mhm.
It's
so
not just across the street, so you know it's a little drive.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
And
you
my
said
mom likes
earlier
to drive.
you were saying earlier too. So obviously you're graduating this year, going to be a freshman next year. So you knew what basketball was like without a pandemic going on. It sounds like you committed during the pandemic. So just kind of take us through that whole process. Your junior year, were you making visits to campuses and stuff like that, or how did
No,
how did it all just kind of play out with everything just happening so sudden?
I mean, I really came on the scene like going into my junior year, like the first part of my junior year season.
Mhm.
Like I started getting offers from like U of H and McNeese State and North Texas, but that was just my three offers. Then when I when I really came, like when I really started developing into what I am right now, it's like everybody started calling, started getting ACC, SEC,
That phone was
Big
hot.
yeah, Big Ten, and it's like that was I can't really explain it, but like my junior year was kind of difficult to where I had a okay junior year, but it was all individual for me because like our team wasn't really like winning any games and stuff. So and that
Team
was at
wasn't
my
making any
old
buzz.
yeah, that was at my old school and we were supposed to be this, we were supposed to be the top team in the state and stuff. But when it came down to it, people didn't really want to work. And so like I just started just grinding every day and coming to the games and just scoring everything that I possibly can score and grabbing every rebound and stuff. So yeah, that's how my junior year went.
When
Man,
you're
that's
coming
crazy.
down,
That's crazy, man.
when you kind of were going
Hmm.
through your recruiting process, as you said, it kind of came in late. You were someone that picked up a lot of buzz more towards
Hmm.
the spring and mostly during the summertime. But when that all started going on, though, and you started narrowing it down within your family, within yourself, was there a number two option for you? And if so, maybe was there two or three other schools that were really right there with A&M?
My biggest two that I was deciding to was Virginia Tech and Texas A&M, but I dropped my top four probably in like August.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I dropped my top four probably then, and it was them, Seton Hall, Nebraska, Virginia Tech, and A&M came when I like a few months after I dropped that. So I added them into that, which made a top five. So I just plan to narrow them down as the days went by, and then I end up picking A&M because the last part was the location wise. Like, do I really want to stay home or do I really want to go up there?
That's something that's not it's been done before, but it's very rare that someone can come into the picture so late into the recruiting process and land the player. How are they
Mhm.
able to become that kind of you're obviously your favorite school that quickly?
Because I mean, like I was, I think A&M was looking at me like when I was like younger, but they
Mhm.
never really just offered right then and there. But I mean, I've been seen by some coaches at A&M before at a team camp, but once they offered it's and like I've watched videos on Coach Buzz and like I really want that kind of coach to coach me because that's what I like. I like intense. I like like just the work.
And let's say we don't know. Obviously, Manny has a high chance of going, possibly even one and done. Who knows with you and Wade? But let's say that you guys stay out there for 4 years. What can you guys bring to Texas A&M? What can you guys accomplish throughout a 4-year career together?
Probably a national championship. Probably 2. I don't know.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to play a game real quick. I do have one more question, though, because, when you kind of think about Texas high school sports, you kind of think about football, right? But it does seem like basketball is kind of making its waves. I mean, tell us what we need to know about Texas high school basketball right now.
I mean, Texas high school basketball has been big in like many years. Like for so many years, it's been like Texas basketball. So, I mean, I've never really played in another state other than Texas. So, like, Texas basketball is literally basketball.
Who's the sickest basketball player you've known or you've hooped with from your area or your circuit in Texas?
From my area, I'll probably say Aaron Scott. That's my we've been friends for a long time. He played as you know, he guarded Imani Bates when we played them. So yeah, that's like the sickest player, has the best mid range in the state of Texas.
Okay.
Like he doesn't miss.
All right, here we go. Pass or shoot. First one here. Sushi.
Pass.
Passing a sushi. All right, 2. We got baseball.
Shoot.
Shooting baseball. 3. We got ankle socks.
That's a hard one because I rock both. I rock long socks and ankle socks.
You gotta pass. You gotta shoot it.
I'll shoot that one.
Okay.
Number 4, how about pepperoni pizza?
Shoot.
How about cats?
Pass.
What about Astro World?
The album.
Yeah.
I'll say pass.
Pass in the Astro World. Okay.
I don't really listen to Travis like that. But
okay. Who we bumping?
I'll say YoungBoy. And who else?
Who's in that layup line?
Ooh, yeah, a bunch of YoungBoy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last one, how about AirPods?
Oh yeah, I got them on. Shoot.
Okay, we shooting those. Hey man, real quick, just before we get out of here, man, we know you like to throw it down, so we know dunking is one of your strengths. But going to the next level, what do you want to improve in your game?
Running rim to rim. I tend to run to the side sometimes to get like flashy dunks and stuff, but getting to like the other side of the court, that's what I need to really work on, and my rebounding and blocking shots.
Rebounding, blocking shot, man. Ashton Smith, thank you for coming through, man. Good luck on your season. Good luck in A&M, man.
Thank you.